Thank you for the opportunity to share our story and our project idea with you. I'm Catherine Eglin, co-founder of the Education, Economics, Environmental, Climate, and Health Organization, ECHO, a small but powerful and innovative grassroots organization based in the climate vulnerable Gulf region with a vast network of affiliates working collaboratively to secure a more stable climate, more equitable, just, and sustainable future. Our project, Connecting the Seas, Color, Class, Climate, Conservation, and Collaboration for a Thriving Community, is focused on North Gulfport, Mississippi, home to two historic communities, Forest Heights and Turkey Creek. Turkey Creek is a settlement established by emancipated African Americans during Reconstruction, and Forest Heights is one of the nation's first integrated home ownership developments for low-income families. The residents in these communities had close ties to the stream that ran through their settlement, also called Turkey Creek.
My name is Janice Marsh, and I was born and raised in Turkey Creek. My grandparents are the one who were pioneers in Turkey Creek. My grandmother, she was a descendant in that area, and my father and his brother lived in Turkey Creek. We lived walking distance to the Crystal plant. As growing up as a child in Turkey Creek, we really were not aware of the environmental issues as a child. We did swim in the creek. We can walk from our house to the creek, and we swam, we fished, we ate fish and everything out of the waters.
Now, these neighborhoods are historically important to American and Southern history and culturally important to African American heritage. The wetlands that run through our neighborhoods are ecologically important to Turkey Creek wildlife, which includes a wide variety of wading and migrant birds. They are also critical for local flood protection, which is increasingly important in the era of climate change. However, our neighborhoods and the wetlands are constantly under siege as a result of outdated and racist local zoning. Back in the 1930s, the land surrounding and sometimes within Black neighborhoods was intentionally zoned for industrial activities. So, for over 80 years, North Gulfport has faced severe environmental degradation. Our residents and our wetlands have endured high levels of air, water, and noise pollution with devastating effects on our health and the health of our local ecosystem.
I am a cancer survivor, and I have several family members that have died of cancer. My mother died of breast cancer. I have a sister that died of breast cancer, and I have a brother that died of colon cancer. And I have several other family members, cousins that died of cancer in that area. The fish was contaminated. We were not aware of it, but we did eat it because that was close to your home where you can go and feed your family.
ECHO has been working for a long time to combat these issues, and we have often been successful. But unless we address the systemic zoning problem, we will just keep fighting the same battles over and over again, and more polluting facilities will be built.
When appointed, I was instructed, if the zoning allows for it, to approve all permits.
For too long, zoning has been a tool of discrimination and environmental destruction. But we have a game-changing solution. And if we succeed, we will set a precedent for the many other frontline communities across the U.S. that are also fighting the same battles across generations. Our innovative approach is based on our proven method of educating, engaging, and mobilizing community. This is what ECHO does best. For example, just this month, we were able to halt a multi-million-dollar project that would have destroyed the few remaining wetlands in North Gulfport. Our success only came about through education and engagement of stakeholders at multiple levels. Now we have a comprehensive plan to educate and mobilize a multitude of stakeholders on the history of zoning and permitting and how it is harming our community. We will also work with students at Gulfport High, educating the next generation of activists in our community. We will start by developing educational materials and programming that synthesize the history of Turkey Creek and the racist zoning practices that have concentrated industrial activities in our neighborhoods. We will describe how zoning can be changed and how different participants in the process can make a tangible impact. At the same time, we will illustrate the problems with the MDEQ permitting process and how it can be improved. This will provide critical context on how North Gulfport got to where it is today, provide motivation for change, and generate a common understanding of how this change can be accomplished. Each group of stakeholders will have their own version of targeted education and engagement designed to inform and mobilize. For example, residents will be reached through a variety of culturally competent dine-in learners, flyers, outdoor learning, and door-to-door engagement. For elected officials, we will work with partners to deliver presentations and raise awareness through small meetings and trainings. After each event, we will evaluate knowledge gains and changes in perception so that we can adapt our educational efforts as we go to ensure that we are meeting our goals. The racist zoning that have made Turkey Creek a dumping ground have been in place for decades, and we will not get rid of them overnight. But we do know that every successful struggle begins with educating and empowering the people who are most impacted. Our project, Connecting Color, Class, Climate, and Conservation through collaboration, is working to save the last remaining. Just as importantly, we are moving from a reactive position where we respond to threats as they come to a proactive position where we address the root cause of the threats. Our goal is to move from being under siege to building the communities we want, and to move from surviving to thriving. Thank you.
Thank you so much, EECHO. Apologies for getting your name wrong, as well as your location. I think
you.
Anita Hussein has the first question.
Thank you. Can't hear you.
There we go. Sorry. So I will just say I really enjoyed this reading your proposal. I love the idea that your team is sort of going to the root cause of some of these issues. So I guess my only question for you is, have you worked on issues around zoning and permitting, which are quite technical issues? And how will you, and if not, and that's fine, how will you sort of engage, technical experts to really help you with understanding the really nuanced, the underlying, even text of some of these regulations, and as you go about your engagement with the community members around this campaign?
Thank you very much for that question. Very important question. And this is part of the education program that we are planning. We have actually have some professionals with expertise in hydrology and other types of specialties that we will take advantage of and use to. We already have 3. We have a project, development project that is currently on appeal We did not win on the initial appeal in MDEQ, but that's where they would have to reverse their own decision. And when I say MDEQ, that's Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality. And what we did was we have now filed an appeal in Chancery Court right here in Gulfport, Mississippi. And we will have experts to be coming in and educating the community just as they did us. And then that way we will be informed. But we also found out along the way that our officials are not informed, and they're making decisions based on profit without any regard to people. And we found that it's very important for them to know the history. Like, people didn't know the history of Forest Heights. It is a, this settlement or this housing development was actually established by the National Council of Negro Women, and that's Dr. Dorothy Heights' legacy. It was a joint project of HUD and the National Council of Negro Women, supported by the Ford Foundation. It has a very, very rich history, and we want to protect that community.
Thank you.
Other panelists, questions, other evaluators?
Yeah, I want to ask you about, at the beginning of the video, you had an image that showed that this was one of the most dangerous places in the US. So maybe that is also related with the zoning. So how to make that change if is it one of the most in danger? Is it because of the location? How can this zoning be reversed and not be something that the zone? I mean, at which point you know if the zoning is right or wrong, or how do you deal with being one of the most dangerous places in the U.S.?
Well, it's Turkey Creek was named by American Rivers to be one of the most endangered rivers in the nation, one of the 10 most endangered rivers, and it's due to development. And these developments just keep coming. We're in now the second generation of one of these development that will destroy more wetlands. Now, during Hurricane Katrina, those wetlands did their jobs. It flooded Turkey Creek, but the water quickly receded because the wetlands did their job. So we're looking at responsible restoration, and we're looking at, and we can't do that without having the city officials and decision makers to understand the need for those wetlands and to stop putting profit over people. And we hope to be able to have some responsible restoration and restore that endangered area, because it's very important, you know, to the community, and as I stated in there, to wading and migrant birds as well.
Ms. England, thank you so much for your presentation, and congrats on your win at the project in Forest Heights. My question is, you know, appreciating the rich history that your home has, and also the tough history of past harms that have obviously caused health impacts on folks. And the clip that you played with the person from MDEQ, just basically saying zoning is just, we just do it. My question to you is, you know, education can sometimes take a while, particularly when you're trying to get folks to understand your perspective and the range of issues. And so is there something, are there a couple of, not projects, but a couple of advocacy pieces that you're working on right now that this work is gonna, like, this education is needed right now, like a couple of fights or campaigns or something that you're working on right now in the community where this, you know, again, what you're doing is needed, like, immediately?
Absolutely, and that's how we were able to halt and stave off this development, was through education of stakeholders. The city had to go back to the table and do their history and do their research, and they had to go back to the drawing board on all of this. We have filed a, and it was because we actually filed a complaint through Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. And we're going to use every avenue possible. And people just, many people were not aware of that history. And so it's very important that they know the history, understand the heritage, and not just that. We could have easily, our title was already so long, we had to trim it down, but we actually could have easily incorporated another C, and that was COVID and the connection to the people, as you saw, with the comorbidity and the pre-existing illness, and make that connection, because Mississippi tracked COVID cases, severity and death were directly linked to environmental issues, environmental health issues.
Thank you.
And I might say that also, what uniquely qualifies ECHO to do this is because we have deep roots in our community, and we're trusted by the community. And if change moves at the speed of trust, we're well positioned to make this systemic change. And we believe we're the organization that can do it. And we found out in this process, we just thought, oh, these are just antiquated zoning laws in Mississippi. And then we found out in this process that that is not the case. You know, we're really going to push this because and other organizations are interested because they have the same problems.